I've been talking about a lot of affordable GMTs here on my channel, Watch Chris, and there's a few reasons for that. Bulova and Seiko recently came out with some amazing affordable automatic GMTs. However, there is one that I've been talking about on my channel for quite some time that is a true GMT and is really affordable. It's automatic, it's Swiss made, and it comes from Tissot. Let's flip the camera and take a look at a Tissot GMT that comes in under $500. So not the most popular watch in the Tissot lineup. I think there's a few reasons for that. We'll get back to that in just a minute. However, this is a true GMT. So that means it is the local hour hand that jumps when you change the GMT, when you put it in the GMT position. And that is a really nice function, especially considering the price that I paid for this watch. The retail price for this is around $1,000. Obviously the box isn't so great considering that. It's just a cardboard box. You have this little diorama, which they've been doing recently. There's a booklet down below. That's really it. Not too spectacular for $1,000. However, I don't think anybody is paying $1,000 for this watch. I don't even know if this is still available on the Tissot website, but either way, this is called the Chem de Tourelle. I believe I am pronouncing that well. I have no idea. However, that's what this is called. It is a true GMT from Tissot. It is powered by a GMT movement, the Powermatic 80 GMT movement. So that means you get 80 hours of power reserve. This video is brought to you by Whatnot.com. Whatnot.com are a community marketplace for collectors like me and you. Whatnot uses a live stream format where you can actually buy and sell watches during a live stream. They have auction functionality, buy now functionality, and giveaway functionality. In fact, that's where I'll be doing most of my giveaways going forward to help avoid scammers. Not only that, I'll be selling all of my watches going forward on Whatnot because I really love the format. I love the community aspect of it. I get to talk to the people who want to buy my watches, and they get to talk to me about the watches themselves. There's no better way of buying and selling watches. So come and join me on Whatnot. Download the app using the link in the description down below and get $10 towards your first purchase. I'll see you in my next live stream. You do get to see the movement from the back, and it is your Powermatic 80. So you do get a Powermatic 80 in here, which is pretty damn cool. Now, there are a few other watches in the Swatch group that use this movement, and most of those are sports watches. So this is probably one of the only dress watches that I'm aware of that actually gets this movement. So this only gets 50 meters of water resistance. There is no screwed down crown. There is no screwed in case back, I believe. I believe this is a snap-on case back with a sapphire crystal. You do get a sapphire crystal in the front. It is a dome sapphire crystal, and you get sort of a dress bracelet on here. It's not the most fluid bracelet, so I think that would be one of my complaints about this watch. The bracelet, not that fluid, and it also gets caught a little bit. It's a weird looking bracelet, I guess. You know, I don't like it, but I think some people will like this. It's, you know, kind of weird looking. I don't know, maybe it's not. You have like sort of blocks that have these lines of polish that go through them. Each one is an individual link. This is sort of bead blasted, and you have polishing. And then you have a butterfly clasp, and then the butterfly clasp, of course, is signed Tissot. So very typical for Tissot, but all in all, it's not a bad bracelet. It's just not the best. And on wrist, it's a lot more comfortable or a lot nicer on wrist than it is when you're holding it in your hand, because you don't notice that it's not very fluid. The dial, though, on this watch is really nice. They did a very good job with the details. Outer ring on the dial, it's all silver. So it's like a silvery white, but you have an outer ring where normally you would have a sort of chapter ring or a minute track. They put a 24-hour track. Inboard of that, you sort of have an hour track. Now that hour track, you have applied indices. Those are Roman numerals. Then inboard of that, you have a minute track. And then in the center of the dial, you have a silver sort of sunburst portion of the dial. Really very nice, actually. So there's a lot of details. That hour track has a very nice texture to it. It's almost like a hobnail that's sort of radiating from that minute track that's in between the two portions of the dial. And then you have the hand stack. The hand stack here, it's like a fence post hand, I guess. There's no lume on the hands whatsoever, and they are in silver. There's a little bit of a facet to them, and it's kind of plain. So not bad. And they reach to, you know, the minute track and the hour track, which looks good. The GMT hand does have a little bit of color. It's really the only color on this watch, and that is the little arrow tip. It looks like it's filled with lume. I have no idea if it is, and if it is, it doesn't make sense because nothing else is filled with lume. So there you go. It would make no sense. The hour and minute hand definitely do not have lume on them because they are all silver. So if there is lume on that hand, it would make no sense. You do get Tissot crown, signed with the T, and this is a 42 millimeter watch, so it does wear bigger than its dimensions, and that's because you can see here you get a lot of space for this dial. There's a very thin bezel. 42 millimeters is kind of deceiving, so I would say it wears like a 43 millimeter in my opinion, but it's like 42, 42.1, and then you have a 49 millimeter lug width, so a lug span, excuse me, so it's 49.4, 49.3. I've measured it a few times. And then at the bracelet itself, it's like, I don't know, 1 millimeter difference. It really doesn't make a difference. You have female end links and you have solid end links on here as well. So it does wear basically true to that almost 50 millimeter lug width. And then you have a 6.3 millimeter crown, which is on the smaller side for the size of the watch, and then 12.5 millimeters thick. I think it's that thick because you do get a dome sapphire crystal. You do get a snap-on case back, as I mentioned, and that also has a sapphire crystal where you can see the Powermatic 80 GMT version. So there you go. It is decorated. You have those little waves on there, the Tissot waves. Not a bad looking movement, obviously not the best looking movement, but it's a lot better than, let's say, an NH35 or an NH34, which recently came out, or even maybe even a Miyota 9000 series. I think they're very on par, maybe. But either way, this does wear larger than the 42 millimeters. I'm going to throw it on my wrist, but let's just talk about price really quickly. This retails for around $900 and change. I think it's like $990 or something in that realm. I paid $415 for this watch, and I think that's a very good price. It actually goes cheaper than that. So I have seen it for in the $300 range, which is a very good price. Now, I say $300 range, I mean like $350. That's what I've seen it for. That was on the strap. This is on a bracelet. They also make this in a gold tone. It's a PVD gold. I think that's a little bit more expensive than this. And that's on a bracelet. I think that's like $430, $450 as I've seen it for. $415 is for on the bracelet, and then you can get it cheaper than that if you want it on a strap. So, pretty damn good price for a true GMT with the functionality of a true GMT, and also you're getting the Powermatic 80, so you're getting 80 hours of power reserve. You can see though, the bracelet does stick sometimes. So right now, this actually was sticking, and you can see right there, it's sticking right now on this link, and it does just go down. It's not really, you know, tight or, you know, too tight that you can't correct it, but it is a little bit annoying that that happens. Very quickly, let me show you the watch that I have on my wrist. This is a Bulova. This has a Miyota movement in it, so it has the Miyota 9075, which is their new true GMT movement. You can see it from the back. There you go, winding away, because it is a, I think it is unidirectional winding, so it does wind pretty quickly. But there you go, so you can see this is a 43 millimeter watch, this is a 42 millimeter watch. They look almost exactly the same size because this has a little bit of a bigger bezel. It's more inboard from the case edges, and this one is just all dial. So throwing this watch, the Chem de Turel, I don't know if I say that right. Again, I'm pretty bad at pronunciations, but you can see I have a 7.5 inch wrist. This is a 42 millimeter watch. It has a 49 millimeter lug span. It wears big. And it's 12.5 millimeters thick, including that domed sapphire crystal. It does wear bigger than its dimensions. Now, I don't believe this has any lume, and I hit it with lume here. You can see the second hand lights up for a second. I think there is lume in there, but it doesn't make much sense because nothing else is lume. Maybe this was like in a parts bin, and they use this hand. I don't know why it would have lume, and nothing else on the watch has lume. Doesn't make any sense, but there you go. I think the dial says the name of the watch, of course, and then Powermatic 80. Of course, Tissot at the 12 o'clock position. That's really it. So for $415, you're getting a true GMT with a Powermatic 80. Two things that I think are pretty attractive. Can you overlook some of the flaws on the watch? The bracelet, really not a flaw. I mean, when it's on your wrist, you're not going to notice any of those issues, and it's really not that much of an issue. I would imagine that actually work itself out over time. Dial is beautiful. It just wears bigger than, you know, its dimensions, and also it doesn't have much water resistance. It does have a snap-on case back. 50 meters is fine, but there you go. It's something to consider. Definitely an affordable true GMT. You know, this retails for $875. So it is a little bit cheaper than this at retail. I don't know what these will end up being when they are not, you know, you're discounted past retail. I don't know, but you know, never know. And then of course there is also the new NH34. So there are a lot of watches coming out with that movement in their watch. This is another micro brand right here. Also, of course, you could buy a Seiko for around $475. So lots to consider in this price range. Around that $400 price point, you can get one of these, you can get one of these, you can get a Seiko at $475. Those eventually will be discounted. Right now they are not. A lot of options. Anyway, that sort of concludes GMT weekend, again, part 2 here at Watch Chris. I think this is pretty cool. I think it's a decently looking watch, but you know, you have to like the look of a sporty, kind of sporty, borderline sporty dress watch that only gets 50 meters of water resistance, but it is a true GMT. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of the Powermatic 80 GMT? What do you think of the NH34 GMT? What do you think of the 9075 GMT from Miyota? I mean, there's so many cool movements out there now for an affordable GMT. So you do have a lot of choices. Not a true GMT. These two are true GMTs. You know, it doesn't really matter that much either. But tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.